to have this going on the other platforms for them to be able to watch on your platform of choice. Whoops. That's all right. I am totally not an old hack at this, so I know what I'm doing. So for those who are watching us on the live stream, there we go. I'm just going to quickly check the technology is working how I want it to. And of course, YouTube is being the pain in the butt, as it always is. But I think we're all good to go. Beautiful. Let me start that again from the top for all of us who are just joining us. Welcome to this week's Camera Ready Confessions, where I, your host, Zoë Wood, your video confidence coach, help you forever shine as the obvious choice using a personalized brand strategy. And we are officially streaming on all our platforms at once, so you can watch or listen to the live stream as you so choose. Feel free to comment your questions, your thoughts, your ideas, and your camera confessions throughout the live stream and also after the live stream goes live, because I always do my best to respond to all comments, all serious comments. I must put that caveat in nowadays. Thank you. With all the information about this live stream, our podcasts, and our upcoming offers and services, so you can get your brand re-energized. You can find it all at vcc.training. That's vcc.training. That's the whole website, and that's where I am. So welcome. Before I officially continue, I would like to acknowledge and pay my respects to the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation, the traditional custodians of the land on which I conduct my business. I pay my respects to their elders, past and present. I stand with the traditional custodians of these lands in working towards a more equal future. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people continue to face discrimination and disadvantage due to our country's colonial past. I stand with them in their fight against injustice, always was, always will be, Aboriginal land. And all those government politicians, all those politicians who are avoiding talking to First Nations committees and groups and peoples, stop doing that. Sit down and talk with them. It is your job. All right, don't get too political here, Zoe. We like to do a little section here before we officially begin, catching you up on what's happening at the Video Confidence Coach, making sure that I'm in line with the camera, that the sound is working and it's doing what it should. It's not too loud, it's not too soft. Thank you for everyone for mentioning those in previous comments. I love it when you move and everything screws up and then you think it's fine and then turns out it's not. So this current quarter, we are looking for podcasts to guest on. So if you know any podcasts that you regularly listen to, that you really enjoy, anything about marketing, compound marketing, personal branding, anything of that sort, please do put the name of the podcast in the comments, and I'll make sure to reach out to them and ask to be a guest in the future. This particular week has been a fairly big one for us. We've been doing a lot of foundational work for our clients as well as our own business as we make a slight pivot. And we also met people at the Geelong Small Business Festival. So I want to thank everyone that I met this week. So we got Narelle, Dave, Angie, Samson, Sally, Matthew, Nelson, Emma, and Kerry, and also all the people that I met at the Geelong Small Business Festival that I have not named in person. You know who you are. I just haven't said it on the list because there's so many people that I've seen over this past week. Speaking of, thank you to specifically Narelle of Global Sisters, who I will be in contact with you soon. Do not worry. I'm giving you a little breather to recover from the festival, so you're not overwhelmed too much in your inbox. I think of you that way. I want to give you a bit of support in that way. So I want to thank you so much for the Square Reader and the Square Doc that I won. So I really appreciate that, because I'm definitely going to be using that over the next little bit to either offer it to some of my clients or maybe start using it when I start selling physical things. We'll see how we go with that. And I also won a cookbook from the Geelong Council. So this is Road Trip Cooking. So I want to thank you so much for that. My partner has very much enjoyed that because it's a lot of meat recipes in there. So they are very pleased with that. So thank you for putting on such a great festival. So if you are down in either Geelong or Shepparton, or there's another one in regional Victoria that is also having a small business festival in their township over the next month, please do check it out, because I think it's a good opportunity, even if you are someone who's very seasoned, someone who knows about business and you think, oh, there's nothing these things can teach me. No, they are good places to connect, and they are good places to learn things that you may not have thought of. Trust me. Moving on to the Unboring Your Brand podcast, as we release every week, we've got episode 123, which was Reputation Alone Won't Build Your Brand. And we've had a couple of interesting discussions about that, and how your personal brand is very synonymous with your reputation, but your reputation is ultimately what is controlled by others, what is dictated to by others. And your personal brand is the thing that you control. Yes, they both feed each other, but one you can control, the other one you can't, to an extent. We'll have more discussions on that later, and you can also check out the podcast to find out my thoughts on that particular matter. Usually this would be the spot where we talk about Vic Podcasters, but I have decided to close down the Vic Podcasters. I haven't officially done it yet. I'm working on all the back end, but I've made the decision as of pretty much yesterday, consulting with the group and consulting with people. How do I say this? When you have to give up a project like that, it's a very bittersweet feeling. And with the Vic Podcasters, it was something that I've been growing for about 8 years at this point. Originally, it started off as the Geelong Podcasters because I wanted a collective group of people to meet with and discuss podcasts who were in the local area that you can meet face to face. And that was very successful. We had multiple in-person events, and I want to thank everyone who attended. And then obviously the big panini hit, and everything obviously grounded to a halt. Things were kind of closing up, and yes, there were a lot of opportunities online, but it wasn't really entirely the same. And then I restarted it again about 3 years ago, and it never really continued the same momentum as it did before. I widened it to Victoria because, again, I wanted to be able to meet people in person, and it kind of just stagnated. And it's not that we are all about growth. It's not entirely capitalistic. It just, the quality of the conversations has diminished because of the lack of input from new and regular people within the group. And I wanted to be able to, facilitate that conversation. So it's sad and annoying, but I want to thank everyone who's been a part of this journey with me. I really appreciate it. It was a beautiful time to spend together. And maybe I may create another project in the future that will create a community, probably around podcasting because I like it so much. But I want to thank everyone for joining me, who has joined me on this journey. The website page will be up. It will just be more of this was more of what it was, and pointing you to the next steps from there. And I will be closing up the groups over the next month so that people aren't really shocked or anything. There's a little bit of trail in time. But I want to thank everyone again so much for your time and your patience. And for really sticking by. So as you can imagine, the next Q&A sessions, the two that were due for the rest of this year, aren't going to happen anymore, as you can probably imagine. But of course, I'm always happy to talk podcasting shop with individuals from the group, as well as see you around on the internet with various people talking about podcasting, because I have opinions. I always do. Thank you so much for that. And now looking at the topic of today's stream, I like to do a little rant about the subject before we move on to our community questions and, of course, recording an episode of the Unboring Your Brand podcast. So, the question at hand. Your imposter syndrome is lying to you, and here's proof. Well, you already know that your imposter syndrome, even though it's not a syndrome, it's a phenomenon, it's imposter phenomenon, but that doesn't get the clicks or the SEO because no one really knows it's a phenomenon. So we call it imposter syndrome, even though it's a phenomenon. Yes, it is lying to you. You even know that it's lying to you. When you have your inner critic, the voice of your mother, your father, your third grade teacher who said you were never good enough, that type of inner critic within your head, we are acutely aware that it's lying to us. We're acutely aware that it wants us to just crawl into a ball and just stay in bed, or, stay on the couch, or not try and push to achieve our dreams, or go about helping people. and serving people that we are there to serve. Because that's what I'm all about. That's what hopefully the people that I've cultivated, and you including, is that we are about helping people and serving people. And I choose to do this via helping people build their personal brands so that they can, whatever project, whatever the decision they decide to make, they can do it. Why? Because they've done the foundational work to be able to achieve that. And if they have to use their face, their voice, their humor, whichever aspect of their personal brand or their entire impersonal brand to be able to get them to where they need to go. Because that's what I want to give you. I want to give you freedom. I want to give you that opportunity. And one of the many hurdles, one of the many brick walls that gets in the way is your inner critic. That imposter syndrome, that again, we all inherently know is lying to us. And yet we give in. Yet we believe them. We don't think we're good enough. We don't believe we can succeed. Or if we do succeed, then what? People will find out we're a failure. Or people will find out that we're, like the imposter phenomenon suggests, we are the imposter. We're not real. We don't know. We're not an expert, despite the fact that you've got multiple years and decades of work in your particular industry or field. Everything you say is a lie. That's not true. You're citing evidence and you're actually looking at the research. Like, you've got all these things that crop up in your head. And of course, instinctually, you've got an answer for all of them. But deep down, you still believe that. And that can come from how you're raised, trauma, and other instances in your life. And when you are like, this may be a little rant inside of a rant here, but there's a reason why a lot of entrepreneurial content talks about mindset. Because a lot of the foundational work of doing these really big tasks, not just for yourself, but for your clients and for your potential clients, involves you putting in the work, you having the mindset to be consistent, to keep going at it, or to keep pivoting when the time comes. That is a mindset thing. That's why a lot of focus, content, communities, ideas are on business mindset, entrepreneurial mindset, if you will. But it's also the easiest to talk about. Why? Because there's no metric. There's no SMART goal, S-M-A-R-T. There's no clear, here, you have achieved this. You have achieved entrepreneurial mindset. Oh, have the crown. There's no enlightenment to achieve. And that's what we don't like. We don't like there not being a clear goal to be able to work towards, especially when I've talked to fellow entrepreneurs and personal brand builders. And that ambition doesn't sit well with others, but also that uncertainty doesn't sit well with us sometimes. Now, of course, sometimes you're just pushing, throwing mud at the wall and seeing what sticks, and what ends up sticking, then you keep going at that. But still, you're doing this purely off your own drive and ambition. And we're human, and that's not always going to be the case. It's going to ebb and flow like a roller coaster, but more like a torrent river or rapids. It can be, after a while, it can be quite consistent, but then sometimes something just happens and it goes, wah! And then you're thrown off. You're thrown out of your little dinghy whenever you've seen those people go down the rapids and they're kind of thrown out of their little yellow boats. And all they have on is a life jacket, and then they're just hopefully you don't die. Which I never quite understand as a sport or an interest, but that's probably a me thing. You know that there is proof in what I'm saying. You've had this feeling before, either previously or maybe you're experiencing it now. But our lives are not meant to just sit back and wait for things to happen. Our lives are not meant to be lived in the fear of failure or the fear of success, or maybe just sitting in that little grey area in the middle. Yes, you are going to feel those moments of insecurity where the imposter syndrome is going to raise its head and say that you are not worth it and you just should give up, should stay still, should just let people more qualified, more expertorial, more, I don't know, better than you. Let them handle it. You're going to have moments like that. And if you have an experience like that, please, I would like to have a conversation with you. A couple of people in my life who are autistic who have never had that feeling. And I'm like, oh my God, I would like to be in your life. Oh. But you can push past that. And I'm not saying that this imposter syndrome is going to evaporate away. It's not. But you've got other people who experience the exact same thing. So maybe take a moment to listen to the stories of people who have pushed through that adversity to help you keep pushing through yours. You've got this. I believe in you. And you can always reach out to me and we can have a good powwow about it. And we can squash your imposter syndrome in the meantime. When I work with clients, my goal is to get them to their desired outcome. Yes, if I need to be a little bit harsh and a little bit mean, which is probably me just messaging them and just being like, hi, you said we were going to do this. Let's do this. Like, that's my mean face. But when it comes to helping people achieve what they need to achieve, that's what I'm here for. That's what you've hired me for, to get to where you need to go, to use the expertise, and hopefully to use the knowledge that you have as an expert in your field. Because ultimately, if you are running a small business, if you are working with clients and helping them achieve what they want to achieve, you are an expert. You don't need a degree for that. You don't need some fancy piece of paper. If you are helping people and you're doing it right, you're an expert. If you're constantly growing and evolving your education on your particular subject, you're an expert. If you're growing your knowledge and can admit, more importantly, you can admit when you're wrong about something, you're an expert. You're a thought leader. Thank you for that little rant. The energy was a little lower than I expected, but I hopefully got the point across. I've been reviewing some of my own notes as of late, and I realized that I am very rambly. I'm very ineloquent, and a lot of things that I say in my head don't exactly make it to my mouth and then out my mouth. So thank you for all of you for joining my little journey of not being able to clearly articulate my own thoughts. We are moving on to community questions. So this is the time where I take the opportunity to answer people's questions that have been sent to me via comments, via DMs, via emails, via phone calls, via Disco chats, where we didn't exactly have the time to answer them right then, right now. So I want to do my best to answer them right here, chop it all up and send it to you via email, message, and DM, because I like to clearly articulate things right here, right now. So let's start off with Julie, and we're going to talk about feeling a little bit too late to start. But when it comes to social media, spreading yourself too thin is a recipe for disaster. That goes for all aspects of your business, not just social media. Alas, is it too late for me to start doing video when my competitors have like 5 years, 10 years, 15 years head start on me? Well, Julie, I'm going to answer this comment with a question for you. Should you be in business? Your competitors in the market have been established for years, maybe even a couple of decades. Does that mean you shouldn't try? Or maybe it's because they're already in power and they should already handle it. I don't feel like that's the case, Julie. And when it comes to utilizing video in your marketing strategy, now this is coming from the video confidence coach here. So you can start video at any time because it's always about clearly articulating your message in many different formats and many different ways so the people who need to hear your message hear it, absorb it, and take action. If that action improves their life, improves their relationships, improves their well-being, or maybe just takes stress out of their day, that is what you are there for, Julie. And when it comes to your competitors, realistically, I like to think of them as potential collaborators. But for those competitors that can go stuff themselves, you need to be that alternative for them. You need to be there and be seen. Now, do you need to be a full Gary V. Tim Robbins? No, God, no. But in this moment, being able to have maybe a small collection of FAQs, frequently asked questions, so when people ask you a question, you can send them a video that clearly and articulately answers them, puts them at ease, and allows them to either take the next step in their life or maybe take the next step to maybe hire you or buy a product from you. Whichever way you want people to be helped and served, that is where you put your energy in. Don't worry about the competitors. They aren't paying your bills. People to your platform, and in her case, Instagram was the best place for her. Point people to your Instagram. You'll have no idea how many TikToks I've come across that point people directly to their Instagram and say, hey, if you want to watch more of me, follow me on Instagram. If you want to engage more with my content, follow me on Instagram. There are so many people that I follow on YouTube who, again, point people to their Instagram. Quick, my product launches next month and I have no video content. And I've been putting it off for 3 years and I gotta do it now. Well, Amanda, and we're gonna have this conversation now. Do not panic, do not worry. Yes, it is not going to be polished. It is not going to be clean. It is not going to be perfect, but nor should it be. Videos that you are creating to showcase your product launch need to show the real truth of what people get from your product. Do they get less stress? Does it make things easier? Does it make things more comfortable? Does it help them with their life, their relationships? Whatever it does, your video doesn't need to be perfect, because if it is, people are going to assume it's AI. People are going to assume it's people are going to assume that it's out of mill intent. You are going to do your best to, do what you can for the people that need to buy your product, which means creating more and more videos to showcase that. Now, I'm not saying you need to do all the videos at once. Don't worry about it. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just asking for you to clearly showcase what your product can do, how it can affect people's lives, and realistically give me the, situations where it will be applicable. I want a solution to my problem. I don't need another feature list from a poorly generated AI image. You're better than that, Amanda. I'm Zoë Wood, your video confidence coach, helping you forever shine as the obvious choice, using your personal brand strategy, and talk to me about video. The way that you combat this is via testimonials, via reviews, via actual living proof human beings who are showcasing that, hey, talking with this person for 12 months on a regular basis gave me the courage and knowledge to be able to pursue my dreams. Now, of course, again, life coaches are not therapists. I want to stress that. Life coaching is not therapy. I want to stress that. But this then in turn impacts your marketing because, okay, the type of person that is my ideal client, I've booked a videographer for next month and now I'm panicking, absolutely bricking myself. Well, Rob, we had a conversation via email, but I wanted to be able to answer this question for you. So if you're worried about sounding like wooden or you're sounding a bit rough on camera, I'm going to tell you now that's actually not a bad thing. When you are hiring a videographer, I'm sure you had a plan for it. You have a really clear idea of how it's going to look and be presented to the customer. But I want you to take a couple of steps back. What is this video doing for both you and for them? Are you able to put this, yes, on your website, on TikToks or Instagram or YouTube Shorts or wherever, or like YouTube videos, wherever it's going to go? I want to make sure that you keep all the content and keep the rights to it so you can repurpose everything to the nth degree, because that's what I want you to do. I want to make sure you repurpose. But I also want you to take a couple of practice goes. Use your phone and rehearse what you are going to say. Also, maybe even take the opportunity to establish an interview with maybe one of the producers or the directors of the whoever's coming in to film you. An interview is slightly less intimidating because, yes, there's a big camera to the right or left of them, but you're looking at a human and you're reacting to a human. Tell stories of your experience with your clients. Start from a grounding point of view, because that is going to work better for you than trying to be there and stand there and do a Bob Jane T-Mart or a Frank Walker from National Tiles bit, because that is rough, that is hard, and it is definitely not worth it, especially for the amount of money which I'm imagining you're paying for a videographer. Think about your customers, what they are going to see, what they are going to hear, and how much they are going to love you, trust you, and hopefully buy from you. But for you, starting off with just one marketing persona, being able to have a really clear idea of what, the risk tolerance is, what their trend adoption is, how likely it is, say, for example, if you are going to offer something to them, how long realistically you would have to wait to make sure the sales come in. I'm up. What? Craig, what? What? Just a quick one. Do I need a script or can I just wing a testimonial video? Okay. Hey, Craig, answering this now for you. Hey, Craig, thanks for the text at 2 a.m. Here's the answer for you. When it comes to a testimonial video, especially if you are giving one or if you are about to receive one, what you want to do is think of it from the readers or the watcher's point of view. What are they going to care about? What are their problems? And what exactly is the solution? How did it make you feel as the person who was receiving the product, the service? Did it like really think about the core emotions, because that's what we do when we buy. We really think about the core emotions. And if you are giving scripting prompts to someone else, or maybe a customer that you've worked with, or maybe one of your retainer clients or people that you've worked with for a very long time, what I want you to do is just give them like 2 or 3 dot points and let them answer from there. I would recommend starting off, so one of the things you definitely want to touch on is like, can they describe the experience that they had? And making sure that, and prompting them to make sure that it come from an emotional point of view. Then you want them to outline exactly what the problem is and what like the issues were, and then how exactly that you fixed it. And giving that amount of detail, especially to people who do not know you and do not trust you yet, is the best gold mine in a testimonial experience. And then the third thing, I usually recommend either something lighthearted, maybe even a joke, or did something funny happen in the service that you experienced, or maybe something funny happened in the product. The reason I ask that, and especially in an Australian context, is we like to be able to have a joke, we like to be able to have a laugh. And when it comes to providing testimonial, if even there's like a little nugget of, they bought a product and their dog immediately ripped it out of the package because they knew it was for them. Like something as minute as that really goes a long way, not just for repurposing, but also just to show the human element of what you do, because you aren't an AI bot and you aren't the government. You've got so much you can give, Craig. And now I'm going to go to bed. I'm Zoë Wood, your video confidence coach, and I'm going to go back to bed. Identifying your ideal brand. Identifying these customers. Usually it comes in a couple of ways. First way, yes, and those were our community questions. Thank you everyone for staying by as I cut in and out of my ads a bit too quick than I would most likely intend to. And yes, that is a text message I received from one of my network, Craig. I love you, but go to bed. Please. Or like, I think we've had discussions in the past where I think he sleeps for like 3 to 5 hours a night and he's fine. I don't know how. I commend you. Like I do 12 hours because I'm so damn tired, but sure, whatever. And happy to answer the question for you, Craig. Just maybe put a delay on it, or maybe schedule the text so I don't receive it at 2 a.m. and panic. I'm sure it's fine. But yes, thank you everyone for enjoying that section there. We are moving on to our topic today, which will be, I'm just going to make sure that I edit my outlines clearly, because I don't want to ruin anyone's day. There we go. So we are going to record an Unboring Your Brand episode today about stop fearing online opinions. So this is one that has been brought up a couple of times, and specifically I'm going to be answering a conversation I had with Sophie, who is from New Zealand. Do I know how to have a New Zealand accent? No, I don't, but she has a beautiful one, and I apologize if I offended you just then, because I can't do a New Zealand accent. But we are going to do our best to answer this question in the next podcast episode. So enjoy the ad, and we'll do this. It's not always going to work, But the mantra that I like to think about when you're networking is, what can I give people? And how is the easiest way to give it to them? So then it will eventually return back to me. Again, if you are going to spit out fire, you're going to get fire in return. But if you do your best to give value, of course, don't give things away for free. Never give away things for free. What do I do when people leave nasty comments online? Well, you don't give a shit. Honestly. But let me teach you how to do that. Welcome to the Unboring Your Brand podcast episode, where we're going to be recording. We're going to do a title sequence, and here we go. Yeah, I know that sounds a bit harsh, but when it comes to nasty comments online, you're going to have to provide a bit of hard leadership there, and I'll walk you through that today in today's podcast episode. But this one is brought to you by Sophie, who is from New Zealand, who specifically, we had a long conversation, so I want to congratulate you on being able to stick it out, because usually when it comes to online email conversations, I usually like to move it to either a phone call or something like that, where you can have a bit more, a little bit more back and forth. And we went on for like 16 emails. So congratulate you, Sophie, on that front. Hopefully I've been able to help you with your issue, and I'm going to work on creating those products for you over the next couple of months. So you're going to have to be a bit patient with me, but thank you for that, Sophie. The question she specifically asked, and I'm going to divulge in today's episode, is how do I grow my personal brand when I'm scared of just backlash and nasty comments? And I understand with the stories that you're hearing more and more commonly online, this the internet is a mob mentality has become more and more crystallized as... So this is for a multitude of reasons, but the internet has become slightly more hostile of a place because there is a lack of nuance, as in the detail of the things or the grey of things, and it's more likely that you are going to come across people who are either by just sheer happenstance or most of the time with some sort of incentive to either disagree with you, or you are not going to get seen because you aren't causing a stir online or a ruckus. There is definitely that feeling. Now, is that true? Yeah. Because we like to see stories online, especially when they are very gossipy or very story. And again, men are included. You like a gossip too. You just don't call it. But when it comes to those stories of, the mob turning against someone, that doesn't happen every single day. Now, are there outliers of people like losing their jobs, losing their houses, losing their welfare because of a comment or maybe jumping on a bandwagon of some kind? Yes. But that has happened throughout history as well. But the internet is just amplifying it because more people have the opportunity to see it. So, it's something that has been ingrained in us for a very, very long time. But with the internet and the rise of a lack of nuance and illiteracy, and I'm not talking not being able to read, I mean not being able to comprehend what is being said, and also a lot of other players coming on board that have different motivations to get people, having engagement online to get those numbers to go up, or political motivations so that, whatever reasons happening, you can probably see the situation from there. Or people just want to be able to see people's genuine reactions to things so that they can mine it for data and content. The internet has become a very big and messy place. Why? Because a lot of stuff is run on it, whether we like it or not. But what does that mean for you? You as the personal brand builder, you as the business owner, it means that you are the leader. And unfortunately, being a leader means you can't dodge hard conversations. Very much like politicians, whether you love them or hate them, they are hired to do a job that most of us won't want to do. And when it comes to building a personal brand, of which no one's going to build your personal brand for you, by the way, unless you are paying them or giving them some other incentive, they aren't going to move it. They aren't going to move that needle. They aren't going to do that work for you unless there is incentive involved. You have your own motivation because you want to help and serve the people that you are here to serve. You're going to use your personal brand to do that because it's the easiest, most effective, and it gives you the most freedom of choice. But that does mean that you still have to be the leader and the expert in your field to do that. And when you're building a personal brand, keeping in mind that you are going to be continually doing this throughout your life and your career, you aren't doing this, reaching to the age of like 45 and then saying, yep, I'm done. I don't need to do any more building. I have got the world at my feet. Even people who are very popular or people who have achieved a lot in their lives are still learning, are still growing, are still adapting, and are still serving the people that they need to serve with their personal brand. They're not slowing down. They're just not stopping. And that's the same thing with you, because whether you know it or not, you have a personal brand. It's just whether you're using it effectively is always the question. And when you're building it, especially when you are starting to get some momentum in your industry, in your community, or you're finally being recognized for the work that you've done diligently for a very long time, because maybe you've been in the mindset that the good work should speak for itself. That's another myth that I'll talk about in another podcast episode. I'm just saying that's not necessarily true. But when you are being recognized for this achievement, you will be stepping into the spotlight that you will ultimately have no control over. And when it comes to the crowd or the throng of the internet, it is who shouts loudest is usually what gets seen. And mean comments, drive-by comments as I like to call them, as well as people who are maybe previously were fans of you, but because you are doing something different or achieving something that they can never achieve themselves, they maybe will turn on you, which will happen day to day throughout your career, throughout your life, personally and professionally anyway. The bigger you are, the more success you achieve, the more visibility you will have. And in turn, the more exposure you will have. But when you are a leader, you are doing this for more than just the paycheck. You are being the leader that your clients, that your potential clients, that your community need you to be. You need to have a clear point of view and strong opinions, as well as even stronger boundaries. And in doing so, yeah, you can probably imagine where I'm going with this, is that there are going to be people who dissent against that. Now, as I've addressed at the top of this episode, some of it may be because they're just genuinely shits. That does exist in this world. There are some people who have opinions that differ against yours, and therefore you must fight to the death. Fight. Like, there is a bit of that mentality of combat, of anger, because especially on social media platforms, gated social media platforms, so we're talking your YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, all those platforms. It's not freely available in open source where anyone can adapt, change anything within the platform. Or you have to, there's a constant feed and an algorithm to attend to. You're going to have situations where that opinion, even if you are right, is going to be fought against. And I'm not saying this to fear you. I'm not saying this to create a block within you, or maybe to have that little imposter phenomenon on your shoulder chatting at you, saying that you shouldn't stick your neck out. You shouldn't do things that are maybe the right thing to do because you're going to get mean and angry comments. Yeah, yeah. You are going to get that. You are going to get people who are dissenting. Why? Because you are leading the space. because you're creating something that matters more than managing every single comment out there to everything that you have ever posted. And when it comes to these angry people, a nice mental method that I like to give my clients especially is, if they do post, that's just engagement. That's just another number. Now, when you see it, are you going to be a little bit hurt? Yeah. Are you going to be like, oh. But then I want you to sit with that feeling, reflect it. Like I know it's painful and it's annoying, but I want you to actually reflect on it and go, does that matter? Does that angry comment or does that mean comment have anything to say? Any decent feedback to say? Am I receiving that comment a lot? Is that something that I should change within my own workflows, in my own knowledge base? Maybe it's something that I wasn't aware of. And the internet, I can tell you now, definitely loves to correct people. But use your own discernment. You are the expert after all. And in that situation that you're looking at it and you go, yeah, I said the wrong thing or I did the wrong thing and I'm definitely in the wrong. Communicate that. Now, the people who got angry at your first aren't necessarily going to see you for the second, which is why I like to call them drive-bys, because people who spew out hate on the internet are doing it for a sense of empowerment and control of their own lives. And that's not necessarily a reflection of you. You just happen to be the thing that caught their eye and they blah, 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 like catcalling in the street, which I absolutely love. That is sarcasm, by the way, if that's not being picked up. When it comes to situations like that, you're not assuming that you're being targeted. Yes, you're being targeted in that moment, but then they drive by and then that's it. They don't think about you ever again. And you maybe probably causes a bit of trauma and you start thinking about it late at night and causing chills. But when in those moments, you put things into perspective. Yes, you've got a mean comment or a few mean comments. But look at the people who are supporting you. People who are showing love, admiration, thanks for your insight, for your work, for your service, your products, whatever solution that you are giving people, there are going to be people that are thankful. Now, in your mind, the negative is going to outweigh the positive because, you're fixated on the negative. And that may be the thing that you focus on just because it's quite normal. It's quite human nature to focus on the negative because that's where the danger could potentially be. But it is a comment on the internet. It's not going to hurt you. And if you wish to, you are allowed to address it. You're allowed to screenshot it. You're allowed to respond to it directly. I do want to recommend that not being your entire brand, like causing controversy, reacting to the controversy to stem more controversy. That's just a cycle that, yes, can bring you more engagement and more numbers and maybe even leads and fame down the line. Fame being the operative word, not actual influence or anything, but just the fame. But it does mean that becomes your personal brand, that you become the person who antagonizes to get a response to then respond to it and then yada, 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 yada. That type of cycle is not good mental health wise. And when I work with people, I want the work that we do to have longevity, not just for them, but for their brand, for their career. I want to be a positive influence. And when that type of rhetoric is your influence, you're not going to collect you're not going to collect the people who are going to be there to support you. Because as soon as you do something bad, as soon as you step out of line, boom, they're going to be on you. And then we have the rapids, as I mentioned at the start of the episode. But in those moments when you haven't posted anything, or maybe you posted a couple things here and there, or maybe you're just worried about this type of backlash happening to you in general, I want you to know that when you are taking on this project of growing your personal brand, because it's a thing that you're going to keep doing for a very long time. This visibility is going to bring up feelings. And if you have not spent that time with yourself, knowing who you really are, sitting with yourself in silence, understanding your own quirks and your own feelings, but also that you are content with how you see yourself and how you feel within yourself, then you are ready to start being that visible for people. And your job is to protect your own energy. I always say here at the Unborrowing Your Brand podcast that it's always about your personal brand is not about you. Your personal brand is about the audience. And to most extents that is. But you are still the one doing the work. You are still the one spreading that message. You are still the one constantly pushing it out, and it can get quite overwhelming when you're just constantly pouring from an empty cup. And I want your cup to be full so that you can be consistent, that you can continue to grow not just your influence, but hopefully your bank account, so you can support your friends, you can support your family, you can build the life that you want to achieve, while also helping the people that you're there to help. And you need your energy to be able to do that. So make sure that you protect it. If you need to be able to step away, for example, maybe something gets a lot of particular comments or likes, maybe hand it over to someone, a friend or family member, or maybe even a staff member to handle it for that day. I want to stress. When it comes to the topic of moderating comments or comment discussion panels, I am very much someone in the group of, does these comment harm the people that I am, here to represent and here to serve? Does it attack me personally? They're not paying me. The people who I'm here to serve are paying me. And if there are comments degrading them, threatening them, I'm going to take that down. I'm going to flag it, take that away. But if it's against me, okay, you can have your opinion. It could be an incorrect opinion, but it can still be an opinion. Maybe I might use that for future content in the future, if I so feel like it. Am I going to make it a habit? No. But you're just giving me more engagement so that more people can find me. And I think that's a good mentality to have. Because for the people who are drive-by comments, who just drive by, spew some hate, spew some anger, and then drive away, they're never going to see you again. They're never going to interact with your content again. And they're never really going to care about what you do or who you serve. You are there for the community of who you serve. Why? Because you're growing your personal brand for them, but they're also the ones paying you. So you gotta put in that effort where you can. And this may be hard for you to hear if you are someone who is still finding that the potential of the backlash is the thing that is stopping you from either getting back on the horse from when you were doing stuff long ago, or maybe you're someone who hasn't really taken that leap just yet because of the potential backlash. Being liked by everyone is never the real goal. Because your goal, no matter what business you run, no matter which industry you're in, no matter who you serve, you are there to be trusted by the right people who are going to be served by you and who are going to serve you. You do not owe access to your mind palace, your thoughts or your ruminations, or your energy, frankly, to strangers, and especially strangers who are not paying you. Let me say it again. These strangers who are spewing hate, walking away, or who are just hounding you with comments that frankly are just there for rage bait, they are not paying you and they are not supporting the work that you're doing. So therefore, they should not be given the energy in return, unless it is maybe for one-off things, but even then, something that, when that is your focus of your content, nah. Because that's not like, yes, you can build a channel, you could build, some sort of amount of engagement, maybe with a maybe a little bit of like money on the side from that particular endeavor. But that particular state of mind for you and your mental health is not a good place to be in long term. When everyone is your enemy, that can send you down some really bad rabbit holes. And as you grow and build your personal brand, you want to do this for the people that you serve and not the people who are just heckling from the back, who are 5 drinks in, typing on a keyboard between getting angry at other women or just really leading really sad lives. Because frankly, the people who spew that anger are people who do not have control in their own lives. They may look like they have control from the outside, potentially, but they don't have control of their own lives. So how easy is it to spew hate? Easy. How easy is it to show support? A little harder, but it's a lot more worth it. To recap everything we talked about today, your leadership and your visibility go hand in hand. And you're going to have to get comfy with harder conversations. Now, when it comes to getting backlash, you don't always have to pack it in, be the bigger person, because I am the big blue bitch. It means that people are like sometimes watching and walking past, but in those moments of backlash, you are free to save your energy, take your peace, and if they are threatening or causing an unsafe area for your community, boot them off. You are allowed to have an opinion without needing everyone's reaction on it or everyone liking your opinion, because that's an opinion. If it's liked by everyone, it's not really an opinion. Your boundaries are part of your brand, so make sure that you use them. And finally, when it comes to situations that are going to continue, so in situations where someone is maybe consistently commenting or consistently doing things in bad faith, feel free to block them and move on. Don't think about them. Do not give them your energy. Don't let them rent space in your head, because again, they are not paying you and they are not helping you serve your people. The next episodes I'd love you to put into your podcast catcher of choice or have here on the YouTubes. You can check out episodes 32, Haters, Love Lists, and Your People. Now, this is an episode with specific tools for you, Sophie, where you can essentially these tools that help you focus on the people that you need to focus, and for those haters, making sure that they are not worth your time by using these particular tools in the episode. And the next episode I'd love you to line up is episode 55, where trolls attack your brand. So you can imagine that goes a lot more into the block and move on mindset, which was a tool I mentioned just before. And in those instances, being able to discern and have some discernment in the comments that you delete and you block, because it's not weakness, it is protecting your community. Just making sure that they're not about you necessarily. I know that sounds a bit mean, but you are stronger than that. You are a leader. You are the expert in your field. You can take some, unpithy comments from people who don't know what they're talking about. But your community needs to be protected and supported. That's who you're here for, and that's what you're here for. One thing I would love you to do over the next 2 days, next time you are checking out comments or engagement, or maybe even looking at your metrics from your posts over the past couple of weeks, which I recommend that you do regularly, because whatever you don't measure, you don't get, right? If you don't measure it, you don't get it. See what types of comments that you're getting, even if you've been afraid to look at them in the past. Keep your headspace clear. Look at those comments. Is there a question in there? Is there something that you can provide more clarification on? Is there someone that is clearly not understanding what is being said? And do you think it's being said in good faith? If it is, use that as content. If not, and it is getting into that territory of hurting your community, block and delete. Do not think any more of it. You can do this. And if not, hand this episode over to someone who will, and I'll walk them through it. If you are a bit overwhelmed by this whole process or anything to do with growing your personal brand or compound marketing in general, because this one's a lot more personal brandy, make sure you check out my disco chat, which is my 13 minutes complimentary chat. You can find on my website in the header, where we will chat about your situation and get as much as we can out of it. Well, making sure that we can do the most that we can out of your situation is what I'm trying to say. Thank you so much for joining me today, and make sure to see me, or I see you, you hear me, and I see you see me and you hear me. I have to come with a better outro. Same time next week. Carrie mentioned it's really cool once you start building a great circle of people that have a vast range of skills, and doors start opening for everyone involved. And that is an awesome thing about networking, is that it's done collectively. And what I mean by that is that once you start, going and attending networking. Thank you. And thank you everyone for your comments and your questions and your thoughts and your ideas throughout our camera ready confessions today. And also all those who are in the replay squad, don't worry, I see you, and I will answer those questions or thoughts and in the comments. If you've missed any part of today's live stream, you can watch or listen to the whole live stream at vcc.training/camera-ready-confessions, which is where I keep all my show notes and all the information about this episode right here for you to peruse at your own leisure. Now we're going to move on to the next live stream, which is going to be called Why Posting Isn't Building Your Brand. I know, a bit spicy coming from me. Nah, not really. But we're going to take the opportunity to record our promo for the next week, and I'll do that here right now for you. Do you feel like you're posting all the time and it's just blending into the ether? You plan, you put in the damn work, you show up, you post, you're consistent, your content is flowing and everything is like being ticked and it's all green. But somehow, somewhere, when it comes along the way, you start feeling the exact same. You feel like a strip mall on the outskirts of a city that no one is attending. You post more. You decide, okay, maybe it's just I'm not being seen enough, so I need to put out more. You go, you keep putting more out there, but nothing is moving, and people aren't seeing you or remembering you, and it feels like you're just shouting into the void. Your brand turns into background noise instead of something that your people should recognize on site. In this upcoming episode of Camera Ready Confessions, with me, your host, Zoë Wood, the video confidence coach, we're going to look into why bold branding does a lot more heavy lifting than posting every day, ever will. And I want you to start building recognition and why volume isn't exactly the busting presence that you think it will be. And I'm going to bridge that gap with you through a live stream that will answer all your questions, because that's what I'm here for. You can watch it live at Friday at 10 a.m. Melbourne time, or catch the replay whenever it suits you, and I'll always answer your comments. Confess your camera sins next week, same time, same place.